Hey girl!
Hey mama!
Ready to get unschooled?
Totally!
Welcome to Moms Unschooled,
where we break down all the things from the mundane to the magnificent, so you can think for yourself and do what's right for you.
Hey Erin.
Hey Sarah.
Welcome to Moms Unschooled, and today we have two very, very special guests, Jessica and Lily.
They are a fantastic mother-daughter duo, and we're going to chat with them about their perspective, get a little unschooled, on the differences and similarities that they have about technology.
Yeah, and with the holidays coming up very quickly, I know tech deals are going to be pushed down everyone's throats to buy these things for your kids. Look at what we've digitized for you. And so I wanted to kind of talk about, just from a parenting perspective, what should moms or parents get unschooled about when it comes to technology use? And that is why we have our special guest today.
Hey ladies.
I did want to review some stats about kids and technology use first in general. We have a couple different studies here. One I thought was particularly interesting that says screen time might be physically changing kids' brains. And they report on that kids' literacy and language skills actually do suffer with screen time based on MRI studies in the brain. And I always want to know more about that. What do they mean? How can they prove or show that? And in this study, they reported that on brain scans on children, it says the scans revealed that kids who spent more time in front of screens had what the authors called lower white matter integrity. White matter can be roughly thought of as the brain's internal communications network, which is basically a highly technical way to say their cognitive function and how their brain receives and interprets messages is decreased, or at least the MRIs are showing it's decreased, based on screen time use. So what do you all think about that?
I immediately thought of how do we balance that between what's necessary, because our world is only getting more, technical, and everything is technology, and our schools right now, a lot of people are virtual, versus what is not necessary. It's just hard because I feel like, especially, Lily is in middle school, which is when a lot of kids start getting phones and things like that. So I think it's just a balance of what is really necessary and how to keep them from not being on screen time 100% of their day.
Because commonsensemedia.org is actually a great resource for different studies about teen and kid technology use. And they have said that virtually all adolescents since COVID have been directed online to meet not just their educational needs, but their social needs. So the push for them to seek out these technological-based avenues has just increased dramatically. One finding that they did report on was that screen time and more recently social media use has been repeatedly identified as a potential cause of adolescents' worsening mental health symptoms. While they have pointed out that because COVID has done this virtual push, some resources for kids' mental health have been more accessible to people, meaning that the more people go online, the more they can find resources about mental health. However, the inverse, that the more adolescents spend on social media in general, has a more negative impact than that. Lily and Jessica, what do you think about the point that social media emerges as a correlate of worse mental health more frequently among adolescent girls?
That's interesting. When I think about myself and the time that I spend on things like Facebook and whatever, you do begin, even as adults, you begin to compare yourself with where are they traveling? What cool antiques did they find this weekend? And then you put that in
those are our big problems around here.
First world problems. But you put that in middle school context, and it's body image issues, and it's much, much bigger issues.
For example, to support that, in this study they write, adolescents who are especially sensitive to social evaluation, who may have low status offline, which they define as, or a history of victimization, low self-esteem, or bullying, may have a unique vulnerabilities as they transition more into online bases. And it says, at the same time, some populations of adolescents who are marginalized in offline spaces, they use the example of LGBTQ teens, often actually report benefits from more supportive online communities. But to your point, what benefits or drawbacks you both see for social media use for teens and adults?
Right now, the big one with her, she loves Pinterest. And I was really hesitant in the beginning because I know you can get some wonky things that pop up when you're searching innocent things. That's always my big thing. I try to tell her, it's not that I don't trust you, but I have seen what pops up. And I want to protect you as much as I can while at the same time helping you maneuver how to stay away from that. But with Pinterest specifically, specifically, like my mom follows her, my sister follows her. She's got like a Christmas present wish list board going on. Cool. So it's been like a fun outlet for her, and I feel like it's pretty safe. I'm not completely naive. I know there are things out there, but we haven't really entered the world of like Facebook or Instagram for her. We've dabbled in TikTok, but the way I handled that was it was my account only on my phone. So we kind of had a rule where if she wanted to do it, she had to come to me, obviously, because my phone, like most of us, it's attached to me, right? So I know when she has it, and she would do it, do the TikTok and then show me, and it was all private. We didn't have any followers, we weren't posting it to the public. So that's kind of how we handled that one.
Do you use any sort of tracking apps that show app use? I know my husband has done this with our Nintendo Switch, where like you can quickly see, has this been used at what times and when? So if someone sneaks around our house trying to get it, we can find out later.
So I follow a Facebook page called Parenting in a Tech World, and they talk a lot about a monitoring app or program called Bark. And I was kind of looking into that, and Lily and I talked briefly about how she felt about it. It monitors everything, conversations and messages and screen time, and we have not done that yet. One of my big rules with technology is they do not have it in their rooms overnight. So the next day they wake up and they have to come seek it out from me. It's important for me to know when they're on it, and Lily knows this too. Like I will pop in, hey, what are you doing? And part of me wonders if apps like Bark and those monitoring apps, I know they're good because part of it too is keeping those websites away that aren't appropriate, which I think is good. But I'm wondering, like, do parents rely so much on that the communication about technology is kind of taken away because they're relying solely on this program? And so that's kind of my hesitation. And then Lily mentioned it's like somebody listening in on your conversation. Like even if it's not appropriate, it feels very just kind of awkward maybe.
If I'm texting my friends, I don't want you to see it. It's not because I'm talking about like bad stuff, but like if I want you hearing my conversation, I'd make like a group chat, or I would like have you in the room when I'm talking.
I think it's about trust, and that was one thing that I kept coming back to. If you feel like you have to monitor every minute of your child, their time on whatever they're doing, maybe they're not ready to have that freedom.
Kids want to feel trusted. So if you are monitoring every single thing they're doing, how are they supposed to demonstrate that they can be trusted?
Right. It's a great moment for us to test the boundaries. They're testing boundaries, and so are we. How much can I trust you with this? And I'm going to trust you as we make small steps until I can't.
What other devices do you typically use, Lily? And what other types of applications are you using or pages you are visiting?
So I have a Kindle, and that's where I do Pinterest, and that's like the only app I use. I go on YouTube too, but it's on my mom's computer. And like she knows when I'm on it, she'll come and check in on me.
I think one thing is, as much as we want to shield our kids, you also have to teach them how to work through it. And I know we haven't had anything super crazy pop up yet where we've had to have a big conversation, but I know it's probably going to happen. But I think that's just as important as teaching them what's appropriate to search for. Okay, so now you've searched appropriately, but this crazy thing has popped up. Let's talk about that.
I'm so glad you said that, because that is something people need to get unschooled about. It's not like an app itself is safe or not necessarily. They're like YouTube. There are good things and bad things on it. Pinterest, there are good things and bad things on it. Lily, do you understand what an algorithm is and why certain videos pop up?
Usually it's ads popping up talking about like bad stuff. I'll like tell them,
okay,
and then she'll look at it and tell me if I need to like do another app or like stop using that.
What's something you like to search for?
Hamilton videos.
Okay. Let's say you're watching an innocent Hamilton video, and because it has similar data, what might pop up next is like a teen version, a remake of a Hamilton song, but with like vulgar language or something.
Well, and just how fast it can go from something harmless and innocent to something we never would have anticipated. I also want to say at this moment, I think it's important as moms to teach our kids why we're on our technology. Now, my kids are younger. Mine are in preschool and elementary school, but they see me on my phone all day long. You all know I'm currently a homeschooling mama, and so I am with my second and third graders all day long long, and so they see my phone out all day long. And I'm really trying to make a concerted effort lately to tell them I am not on here looking at Descendants videos. That's what we watch on YouTube. A lot of times I'm paying a bill, or I'm printing off a worksheet for them.
Absolutely.
Or, I don't know, finding the recipe for tonight. And I've been trying to let them know that this is my work too. This is where I get work done. It's not all for fun. Most of the time, I am on this phone for the family's sake. And so I'm also trying to show them there's a balance between the entertainment and the work that will eventually happen in technology for them as well. And it's not all just rainbows and butterflies. But I also do see their perspective on it about how they see us moms on our phones all day long. And, they want to be too. They see it from us and they see it from their friends.
What do you think your mom goes on her phone or computer during the day to do?
I usually see her texting family members or on Facebook.
Guilty.
Like posting pictures and stuff from our trips. Yeah, or doing work calls or texting my dad to ask him to pick something up.
I like that. Okay, so you have a pretty good view of that, hey, it can be used responsibly for many different productive avenues.
And one thing I tell my kids too, I'm like, just enjoy not feeling so connected. It is a blessing sometimes to be in a place where you don't have service. It's important to let them know, yeah, it's not all fun all the time. And sometimes you can feel very bogged down by your phone and your need to be on it. We all need breaks, not just kids, but we all do. And I have told Lily before, I know that there are days I spend way too much time consumed, with world news, tracking things going on. I also find it interesting that we're putting our kids on computers and they've never had typing classes. So when we went virtual, I was like, well, you want my kid to type the answer and she doesn't even know how to properly place her hands on the keyboard.
Well, Lily, what did you think in the spring when you had to do a lot of your work virtually? What was that like for you?
There's a lot of ways to get distracted, like texting your friends on a computer or doing YouTube. And when you're in classes, it can just get really boring when you're doing it virtual. And when I started going back to school this year, it was just more interesting, and I stayed into the conversation during class. But with online school, it's just hard because you're doing it with your siblings, and then there's other stuff going around in the house, and it's just distracting.
Now that you're back in school this year, how much technology do you utilize during your school day?
So I still use a lot of technology, but it's get on the computer really quick and turn in this one thing. But most of our work is through a computer.
I guess we all know technology is here to stay. Hopefully COVID does not set the standard for, we can do that virtually. Why do we need to meet in person? Given that technology is an increasingly overwhelming part of our daily lives, I did want to talk about and get unschooled about some rules regarding technology and teen use. And one fact that I really thought was interesting from this study I shared, it said conflict over screens is common in families, and in many cases, this conflict is likely to be more harmful to adolescents' mental health than the screen time itself, meaning the arguments they may potentially have with their family over the technology is actually more harmful to their mental health. So what kind of rules do you guys have in your family?
There are no electronics in the room overnight, just because I like to know when they're on it. Periodic checks, even of their school accounts, because let's be honest, the Google Hangouts, yeah, they're supposed to use them for school, but they're not. They are not. They are talking about things not related to schoolwork. A new one that we've kind of had, based on a recent experience, is, yes, all of our friends have phones, basically. Mm-hmm. A lot of them do. So we had a situation pop up, and now we have a rule that we don't use our friends' phones unless it's to contact in an emergency, because there's some sticky situations you can get yourself into if you're using a friend's phone and texting someone else, and then it looks like it's coming from the person who, something that I did not think of until it happened. The other thing that is important, I don't like seeing them on their Kindles every day. I just don't think it's necessary.
It's that balancing act again of absolutely play some educational apps on the Kindle, but then go outside and get your wiggles out too. I think as you, Jessica, are a very hands-on mother who is monitoring the technology and monitoring your children's attitudes and behaviors all the time, as long as you're just keeping things in check and monitoring, there is a definite healthy balance.
Yeah, and I have this cell phone contract from imom.com that goes over some usage, etiquette, and honor codes and rules, and I kind of wanted to get your perspective on what you think about some of these rules and if you think they would work for your family if and when Lily gets a cell phone. You'll have to come back when and if you do. So when you're like 25, because I think that's when your brain really develops.
She has asked several times for a cell phone, but I've explained to her, like, she'll get a cell phone when it becomes inconvenient for me for her not to have one, because at this point it's not really about her. I'm sorry, I love you. But if it becomes where she's got so many after school activities and I need to get a hold of her.
I think that I should be getting one when we like move back to America, because we're not gonna be on a base where we're with each other all the time, or like my mom knows where I am, because like I'll be a teenager soon, so like I'll be out doing stuff with my friends and then I'm gonna need to contact her.
So it's not age necessarily, it's the environment, your location, the situation that you're in. This one is completely safe, it's functioning well. Lily is gaining responsibility and trust with the technology she's given, and you're ready and prepared for the next step wherever your family goes next. Then you're ready to address it again.
So let's hear you respond to some of these cell phone contract rules. So just say if you would agree or disagree. So the first one says, I will plug my cell phone in my parents' room by X p.m. on school nights and X p.m. on the weekend.
I think that you just have to plug in your electronic in like the kitchen or the living room, because like when you get up in the morning and you want to go like get your electronic, the rest of the family is usually out there, so it like forces you to go say good morning to them.
Forces you.
Say hi to everyone.
The drudgery. Number 2, I will always have my cell phone turned on when I'm out with friends.
Yes, because like if an emergency pops up, you have to know as soon as possible.
And similar to that, I will always answer call or text from my parents.
Yes.
They need to specify that though. I will always answer it 3 years from now. I will not use my cell phone during family meal times or family time.
Well, like, no, not for kids, but like my mom, we watched a movie yesterday and I saw she was on her phone a lot. She does it during dinner, and then, like, we get our Kindles, and she's like, no, we're going to talk while she's on her phone.
And I think that difference is because she's using it for other functions. That
like
benefit.
Facebook?
No, like...
Because there's some good sharing about activities to do around here on Facebook.
On that, okay, I have been called out.
You have been unschooled now. Okay. I will not text or use my cell phone when I'm doing homework or while in school.
If it's, like, a topic about school, then, yeah, like, sometimes I, like, video production and drama at my school, so like if I text my friends to go like, do I need to bring like materials in for like drama, or is there anything I need to finish, then yeah. But if it's not related to school, can you hang out tomorrow? Don't answer it, or just tell them that you're busy right now.
Good. I will not look at my cell phone when talking to someone in person.
I think yeah, you should, because like you never know, it could be your mom or your friend telling you that like their family member died.
If I'm asked to stop using my cell phone, I will happily do so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happily?
Now we have
No.
we have this on tape.
No.
Okay, on to honor code. I will never message or talk to someone and then delete or hide it from my parents.
I, like, on Hangouts, when I text my friends, like, well, not my friends, but, like, people that I have classes with, and if I'm asking them if there's, like, something I missed, a missing class, yeah, I'll delete the conversation, and that's what I usually do, not because I'm hiding something, just because it saves everything, so I don't want it to be this whole bunch of, like, conversations with people I don't even talk to anymore. Like, I have several group chats, like, people from my class, people that I walk to school with, and, like, I keep that, because if I delete it, then, like, there's no getting it back. But with, like, separate conversations, I'll always delete it.
And we've had conversations about that too, because I have explained to her, when you delete things, to me, it's a red flag. Like, okay, why are you deleting it? It's not like you're running out of space on your Google Chats.
I will never open or view pages that are not permissible. It says such as, which the idea is that you would determine with your family.
You should always listen to your parents if they warn you about an app, because they've probably, like, gone through it. So, like, they're on an app and something bad pops up, so they don't want you going through what they went through.
Very well put and articulate. I will never share personal information such as name, address, phone number, school, etc.
Say one of your friends wants to come and visit you, but they don't know where you live, or, like, they want to send you a letter, then, yeah, give them your, like, information, but, like, make sure that it's a person you know, and ask your parents about it first.
Can I say one thing about that? With my littles, we've had to discuss pins.
PIN number?
PIN numbers, because, you know, that sometimes things are linked, or sometimes you can use the same number. You never talk about your PIN number outside of your family. And that's the one we've been dealing with. They don't have a lot of technology in terms of phone numbers and addresses. Our German phone number, they couldn't remember that anyway. I have a hard enough time. But the PIN number, it is a huge deal for us. It's their tablets. PIN numbers are are numbers that they are very comfortable with, and they don't understand the importance and how dangerous that could be if you put those 4 little numbers out there to the world. That is a conversation we've been having regularly.
I will never send, forward, or respond to mean or threatening messages.
Or like if it's someone you know from school being mean to you, like respond, tell them to like leave you alone. Then if they don't stop, tell an adult. But if it's like a random person that you don't know, like threatening you,
Probably
tell
should
your
get an
parents,
adult involved.
don't respond.
I think probably don't respond to any of it and then go get an adult at this stage.
I will never buy or download anything without my parents' permission.
Well, I always ask my parents about like when I get like Pinterest or like when I got Spotify. I don't use it, but like tell your parents about it and make sure that it's not like money, like that doesn't cost.
I was just going
like,
to
just
say,
downloading.
we probably all have a story of someone we know. My nephew, I even forget what it was, but he was buying upgrades in the game he was playing and racked up hundreds of dollars on iTunes. And my sister was able to call, and I don't know, I can't remember if they waived it or cut it in half or whatever, but it was definitely a huge learning curve for them. And so we've had it happen. It was one of my younger kids who just got a game, and for whatever reason, I didn't have the settings right, and they were able to purchase. Thankfully, we're talking $4 or $5. But yeah, I think mine know now after my nephew's story.
I will never give my passwords to anyone but my parents. They will have access to all of my passwords.
Only give it to your parents, because like last year one of my friends they gave me their password. I never like went on it, but I was like, you shouldn't do that.
What was their point in giving that to you?
Well, we were like best friends, so she was like, we need to know everything about each other, like locker codes and all of that.
Red flag, red flag.
I will never join social media networks without permission.
Yeah, ask permission, because like it could be something bad that your parents have heard about.
I will tell my parents immediately if something on my phone is inappropriate.
Definitely, yes. Or like any adult.
Do you think you have a good sense of what is or is not appropriate?
Yeah. So I was on Pinterest yesterday, just like looking through my recommended stuff, and then push-up bras popped up
Okay.
on there. So like I told my mom about this yesterday. I didn't tell her immediately because like it's nothing like that bad, but like still tell them. It's
Good
not
for
like I was
you.
searching about that. It just
Yeah,
popped
what
up.
were see, that's what I mean about the algorithm, right? I will give my parents access to my phone whenever.
Yes.
Okay, so the access part, if they want to check it, doesn't bother you.
It'll bother me, but I'll still listen to them because then it'll make them like take it away from me. Going like, are you hiding something?
True, very true.
Line.
Yeah, like if you make a big deal about it, even if it's not something bad, like having a harmless conversation with someone, you have to like let them look, or else they're gonna think that something's up.
And let's be honest, how many of us want to spend our days reading everything? You know, like I want to do what's necessary to keep her safe and make sure she's following our rules, but I also don't want to dedicate my life to stalking her on social media. They're gonna make mistakes, and I hope that I catch them, but I don't feel the need to stand over her shoulder.
And you have to give them the chance to rise to the occasion. Well, thank you so much, Jessica and Lily. Lily, you must report back if and when a cell phone arrives.
I think she scored some major technology points today, Mama. What would you say?
I think she has all the right answers, and I hope her actions mirror that.
Thanks for coming in today, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Moms Unschooled.
Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, or email us at momsunschooled@gmail.com. Juicy!